So a theme keeps coming up in this room over the last 2 weeks. And it's a subject that I've spoken about quite a lot over the years. And I've actually done a video about it before, but I'm just about to do another video again because people keep asking me about it, okay? So I refer to the false peacekeepers quite regularly, right? And for those of you who don't know what a false peacekeeper is, I am just about to explain. So a good few years ago, I did a video when I was referring to kids, okay, when adults are false peacekeepers with regard to children. So, you know those parents, let me explain level one, which is the kid version, when false peacekeepers affects them, okay? And then I'll move it on to the adults. So, you know these parents that you see in the world that are constantly making excuses for their kids. Oh, you know, he was very tired. He didn't sleep enough. That's why he's being naughty. He slept too much. That's why he's being naughty. He ate too much. That's why he's being naughty. He didn't eat enough. That's why he's being naughty. The reason why he's being naughty is probably because you don't correct him on his behavior that is out of order. And that's how you become a false peacekeeper. Making excuses, dampening it down, pretending it doesn't matter, not addressing the actual issue. You know the photograph of me in my living room where I'm pointing like that at a big huge elephant in the room? Let's just point out the big huge elephant in the room right now, okay? So when you're a false peacekeeper, you are winning the current battle, you think, by keeping the peace, but you're never winning the war. Because all you're doing is reinforcing to that child that it's okay to be out of order, because there ain't going to be any consequences over here for you, okay? And the unfortunate part about that is that these little people that we are not setting boundaries with and creating functional, people for the world that we're sending off to represent us when we're not around, grow up not knowing what a boundary is, or not knowing what a consequence is, and not knowing what is socially and not socially acceptable behavior in the world, okay? And then sometimes I find teenagers in here and their parents don't understand why they can't do things for themselves, or, their behavior's off the charts. Maybe that's because you haven't had consistent boundaries in your life with these people. And all of a sudden they're 16, 17 and they're 5 minutes away from voting in the country. And you think that they're capable of making rational decisions when they've never been put in a position where they've had to make a rational decision or understand what a consequence is. Am I making sense? Okay. Now, that's what we do with kids. We are creating these little people every single day of the week. So every day that we get up in our kids' lives and in our own lives, we're given a blank canvas and we choose the colours of the paint to put onto that canvas. And we need to choose wisely. We need to choose more consciously, okay? Now, false peacekeepers as an adult look like this. When you're in a scenario and you know that somebody is breaking a boundary on you, and you know that somebody is being out of order with you, and you make excuses, or you don't say anything, and you nod and smile, and you accommodate the behavior, and what you accommodate, you tolerate, or you could say that the other way around, what you tolerate, you accommodate, it doesn't make any odds. And all of a sudden then there's an explosion, because we haven't put boundaries in place with other adults that are breaking our boundaries, because we haven't said, that's not cool for me. So what happens is that people are behaving out of order with you and you don't say anything. And they continue to behave out of order with you and you don't say anything. And the behavior gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you don't say anything. You just shut up and put up. And when people are not held accountable to their behavior if they're out of order, that behavior is going to expand. It is going to get bigger. This is what happens, okay? And maybe you're becoming a little bit, you know, you have a lack of tolerance now around this particular behavior. And they're pushing your buttons and pushing your buttons. But they're not aware that they're pushing your buttons. And you're getting antsy and you're feeling like, argh. And then one day comes and they're just doing the behavior that they've always done because you haven't opened your mouth. And you lose it. You lose your mind. You flip, you go crazy. Because you didn't say things all along. And then the person whose behavior is out of order goes, what is wrong with you? You crazy. I've behaved like this my whole life and all of a sudden you have a problem with it today. What's going on with you? That's a bit crazy. Now you're the problem. So when you are falsely keeping the peace, it will only work for a very short period of time. And then you will explode. Or maybe you might not explode and you will just tolerate other people's behavior forever and be unhappy about it and have all of that stewing around on the inside of you. But either way, neither party wins here. Does this make sense? So the person who's out of order doesn't know they're out of order and just going to continue to be out of order. And then the other person who's tolerating the behavior feels worse, feels bad, feels a low vibration, and is going to end up losing the plot. So that's how you become a false peacekeeper. Now, tomorrow I am going to move on and explain the difference between confrontation and keeping boundaries, because this is a massive problem for people, personally and in business. And it comes up in this realm the whole time. Now, let me see. God, there's millions of us. Mary O'Leary, absolutely. Nice one, Mary. Mary gets this. I know she does. Caroline Shute, perfect sense. Delighted about that. Antoinette Courtney, this was me. Then my boundaries were put in place. It upset a lot of people, and it always does. But I'm happier now, and the people around me now are nourishers, not drainers. Okay. So Antoinette Courtney is very familiar with the work that we do here in I Am Positive Mindset. And she's a huge advocate for the work. So what happens, what Antoinette is talking about there is Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when she made changes, when she got conscious and became aware of the fact that she was potentially being a false peacekeeper, and then she decided to put her boundaries in place because she gets this, people, sometimes one of two things is going to happen. They're going to say, oh my God, you are crazy. I always knew you were crazy. That doesn't really suit me, that you're putting a mirror in my face and making me look at the truth of how I behave. So I won't be tolerating you telling me the truth. So I'm going to be over here with my not nice behavior because those people over there are going to tolerate me and you weren't. Now, they're not going to say that out loud, but that's subconsciously what's going on in their heads. You know, if you're putting a boundary in place with somebody and somebody doesn't like it and they don't respect that and hear you and listen to you and respect what your boundary is, they're just going to leave your energy space. And let the dead wood go. Let it go, people. Okay? But then there's the other people who, when you put a boundary in place and making changes, and they go, check out Antoinette. She is in flow right now. This girl is loving her life. Sum up with you, Antoinette. What are you doing? Did you get a tan done? Did you get your hair done? You look great. Because you change when you're making changes. And people will say to you, whatever it is that you're doing, I want a slice of that. Okay? So well done, Antoinette, for that. Lucy Owens says, Pat Owens, this doesn't happen you. I'm presuming that Pat Owens has boundaries in place. Lucy Owens is tagging Joanne Dawson and Joanne Riley. Thank you so much for tagging people. That's fantastic. We need to spread this work to the maximum amount of people that we can, because we need to raise our vibration and make our communities and environments much better places to live in. Joe Bowles, hey Joe. Well said, Nick, thanks very much. Joe and I used to go to school together. And I met her in town there a couple of weeks ago. And we were on the way over to the Ivy, and she was going into the museum that we had just come from. And I was delighted to meet her. I was really delighted to meet her. I hadn't seen her in such a long time. Mary O'Leary says, celebrating my boundaries and getting rid of the deadwood. Yes, I love it. I love it, Mary. Mary gets the work we're doing here. Okay, there is literally millions of us watching there. If you have any questions about that whatsoever, what I just had to say, pop your questions in underneath and I'll get back to you tomorrow. But join me tomorrow at some stage for a conversation with regard to the difference between confrontation and setting a boundary. Have a lovely evening.